Hey y'all, how are you doing tonight? Thanks for joining in. I'm just getting everything set up. Hey Melissa. It's been a day, right? I'm good though. I'm good. Let me see. Hey Kendra. Thank you for joining in tonight. I apologize in advance if tonight's a little bit rougher than normal. Hey Diane. Thank you, Kendra. Yeah, I'm okay. I hate drama. Absolutely hate drama. I am not about having that in my life, and unfortunately it came to my doorstep this morning, so now I have to figure out how to deal with it. But I when just a little precursor, when I did the video kind of forewarning about how this goes down and how we shouldn't jump and make videos when we're emotional or upset, it kind of was a forewarning. This is what happens, and it not only affects the people making the videos, it affects the entire community. So I'm a little bit disappointed in the whole thing. So, and I don't even know all of it, to be honest. I've been on and off of TikTok today, kind of trying to keep my mental health at a safe space. So thank you. So it's been hard, but let's see. Miss Dixie, are you in here yet? Do I need to add Dixie, or is let me see. How do I? Sorry guys, I'm just trying to figure this out real quick. But the one thing that I promise to you guys is that this is a safe space, and we are not going to talk about the drama that unfolded today. That's off the table. So I would appreciate if we just table that conversation for another time. Keith is going to have his own live tomorrow night, and he can talk about it. I'm Switzerland right now. I don't want to be a part of what's going on, and I apologize for whatever happens, you know. But tonight we have a special guest on. It is episode 12 of Invisible No More, and we're gonna have Christina, Miss CRPS Phoenix Team Rising, on, and I'm really excited to have her on. She's very, very intelligent, and she used to be a nurse, and she's a chronic pain patient. She has CRPS like I do. And she's very well educated on CRPS. There she is right there. So let me go ahead and pull her on here. Give me just a sec. Well educated on CRPS. There she is right there. So let me go ahead and pull her on here. Give me just a sec. Hey, Christina.
Hey.
Hey, witchy woman.
How Are you okay?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Let me turn it up a little bit.
Can you hear me?
I can. Can everybody else hear? Okay. I know she made the hat. Look how cute it is.
So
It is cute.
I am dressed up as a witch today because there was a celebration in the town I live in called Witches Night Out, and
that is so fun.
My daughter is visiting, so I had made this costume for myself last year and went with my cousin, but this year my daughter was here, so some have seen that I made her a hat, and then we put together the rest of her outfit. So
nice.
We got to go to that, and I had to really plan hard for today.
Right.
Just got a lot of rest earlier today, so so yeah, we put on our costumes and we went to the downtown area, and it's not a very big downtown. Mm-hmm. I do have some victories to report. I did put on shoes and socks.
Wow, that's
and great. That was the first time since surgery in April. Wow. And since being diagnosed with CRPS. So I put on shoes and socks. And Halloween is my favorite time too. So I put on my pair of Converse and socks. Wow. And I have a witch broom that I made, but I made it last year with a thick branch going all the way through to the bottom so I could use it as a walking stick without smushing it. Nice. So I used that instead of my cane, and I was able to walk with taking a lot of breaks. So there's a lot of benches and places to sit in the alley where the celebration is held.
Oh, good.
And in the downtown area, there are benches everywhere. So so we just went for a couple of hours, and we had a great time. So there's my...
I always love hearing about victories. And whenever you guys have them, send them on over my way. I know, it's easy for us to share when we're feeling down and everything like that, but I think it's equally as important to share when we've done things throughout the day that deserve recognition, Yeah,
I've been trying to share that. I worked really hard, just because I love Halloween and my daughter was coming. And since I moved here a year and a half ago and then was somewhere else the Halloween before that, I hadn't really decorated my house it's been 3 years, so for 2 years went by without putting anything up because I had lived in Tennessee. So I hadn't put up anything. And so it's the first year I did it, and I'm at home, and yes, I'm disabled, but I worked on it for the past couple weeks before she came to put up decorations because I love it myself, and it makes me very happy, and I just have so little that I can do. I can't go to any concerts, I don't have any money, so I can just work with what I've got, and I have these silly things I can put in my hair. I have a costume, I have craft supplies, I worked really hard at trying to get some stamina back, and I went to physical therapy last week, and they were like, what's going on? And I told them, I haven't been going out, but I have been, doing things around the house. And they were like, okay, so what are you doing? And I told them, and they were like, you're going up and down the stairs too much. I was like, yeah. So, but once I got everything done, and my daughter got here, we have been crafting, so it's just doing things with our hands but sitting.
Yeah.
So things calmed down a little bit again.
Good.
But anyway, so I really want to thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for joining.
So
I wanted to go over a couple things real quick, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Have Chris and I'm sorry. Have Dixie come on and do her thing. So there's a couple rules that we have in our lives. And what is this?
Your coffee.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I just got handed a coffee.
It was made by Bubby.
Oh, thank you.
It was made by Bubby.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Hi.
Okay.
No, I wanted to say hi.
Sorry, y'all.
Hi.
Yes, no drama llamas. Tonight is about Christine. It is about her story and sharing it and her knowledge. So please, for the love of God, no drama tonight. I've had enough of it today. And yeah, we don't talk about politics. You know, there's a million other pages you can go to for that stuff. Not in here. This is a safe space to be able to share and be able to, you know, be open and vulnerable. And we want to keep it that way for everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and get Dixie on real quick and let her do her thing. One sec. Where are you at, Dixie? Dixie's in here, right? Sorry, guys. I'm trying to figure this out real quick. There we go. Oh. I guess Dixie's not on right now. So, basically, Dixie's... She's so good at it that I don't have it memorized. But basically, the little heart up there, you can purchase it for, I think it's like 29 cents or something like that. And it helps us get points to go to the FYP so that more people can be able to find out about Christine's story. We also upload our lives onto YouTube. So if you don't follow us on YouTube already, please go ahead and do that. I guess it's only a penny. And then as far as subscribers go, you do or you don't. It's okay. I mean, I appreciate it, but it's not necessary at all. If you guys have any questions for me or anything, or Christine, feel free to private message us. Just know, if you weren't at the live on Tuesday night, we kind of set out some important ground rules on how to reach out to each other. And so if you didn't get a chance to watch that, if you want to reach out to me and ask some questions, feel free to. Just be not super specific at first. You know, maybe a couple trigger warnings if there's some things that are about to come up. You know what I mean? But other than that, we'll go ahead and get on with Christine's story. And I appreciate all of y'all being here tonight with us. So where would you like to start?
I think we kind of made a list. So I guess I'll tell people about just me. I just got CRPS about six and a half months ago. I'm not very far into it, so I've had a whole big life before this, but I have been a patient for a long time. I'm 47. I'm a nurse. Okay. I grew up in Michigan, and then I was married to my first husband for about 10 years. I had 2 kids. They are My daughter that's here, she's about to turn 19, and my older daughter will turn 22 by the end of October. And then I was married a second time for 5 years. Both of my ex-husbands were in the military, so I was a military wife for a lot of years. So
Okay.
I have, after growing up in Michigan, I had lived in North Dakota, Florida, Germany for 5 years, and Tennessee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I started going to college. I had my first daughter when I was 25. And so we had moved from North Dakota to Florida and then to Germany. And I started to go to school when my kids were little. And during that 5 years I was in Germany, I got a certificate in foreign language studies because I took every single German class that they have. So just as an aside, I do follow some CRPS patients in Germany who post in German. I can understand them, most of what they say. I try to practice as much as I can.
That's
But while I was there and going to school, it was because they had a campus for University of Maryland on the military base. So what I did was I knew I wanted to become a nurse. So I looked at a whole bunch of schools because I could not access a nursing program while I was there. I took every single prerequisite that I could get my hands on. So even though I have an associate degree, I have enough credits for a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
And with my second husband, he retired out of the military. We moved to Tennessee. So I lived in Tennessee for about 12 years. My kids were, well, my older daughter was grown. My younger daughter was still in high school. They decided that since me and their dad had split up, and my older daughter especially, she had always talked about wanting to go and stay with her dad after she got out of high school, and my younger daughter wasn't really happy with where school was going for her in Tennessee. So, oh, cool. Yeah. So Marlena just said she also was in Germany. We were at Ramstein Air Force Base in near Kaiserslautern. And then I was in Heidelberg for a while. Anyway, so my kids moved with their dad in Arkansas, and I moved back up to Michigan about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And at that time, I really wasn't in a good place. I had worked on a COVID unit and was very depressed. Had been in a relationship for several years and gotten out of that. And so I decided to take a little bit of time off, and I stayed at my mom's. And
So-
kind of...
Did you nurse through COVID?
Yes, I worked on a COVID unit at the VA hospital in Tennessee. I was an acute medical nurse. So I did, when I first got out of school, I went and did home health for several months, but I wanted to get into hospital bedside nursing. So I got a job at the VA, and I worked on the acute medical floor. So while I was there, we had an enormous campus in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and it was kind of like a satellite to the big one in Nashville. So working on the acute medical floor, we were also kind of like a float pool. So while I was there for 7 years, I floated to every other unit, and we would keep a list of who was floated last. So at least 1 or 2 times within a 2-week time period, depending on staffing and all of that, I would get floated to anywhere on campus, whether it be emergency room, ICU, their drug and alcohol rehab, their psych, geri psych, all levels of long-term care, because they would divide up their long-term care units into ambulatory or bedridden people or whatever. So I got a ton of experience while I was there. And when the pandemic hit, we had to convert half of our entire floor. We had like 28 beds, so half of the entire floor turned into a COVID unit. And so we were not the ICU. I want to make that clear, but I did see a lot of people tanking and had to help get people on helicopters and just I have pictures of myself wearing the huge helmet with the air mask, and we would wear battery pack. We look like space, like astronauts. Like we were double gowned, and it was crazy.
Yeah. I have so much passion for what. I mean, I can only imagine what it was like going through that.
Mm-hmm. And I guess over the past, because I've been a nurse since 2016, in the past 8 years, I don't think I really understood how nursing would affect me emotionally, because I already had treatment-resistant depression and anxiety and undiagnosed ADHD. And if I can rewind back, as far as my personal health history and how I ended up with CRPS, was that I've had degenerative disc disease since I was a very young adult. Mm-hmm. And when I was pregnant the first time with my first daughter, who was about to turn, 23, and I was pregnant with her, and while I was pregnant with her, I blew out a spinal disc and a lumbar disc, and they could not do any imaging, no MRI, no x-rays, no nothing. So for months while I was pregnant, my sciatic nerve was pinched so bad that I could not straighten my leg. I kept telling the doctors, like, something's wrong. And they're like, oh, well, maybe it's just the pregnancy, shifting things. And finally, when I was 35 and a half weeks pregnant, I showed up to my OBGYN appointment, and my husband had to, what happened was I couldn't get out of bed. And so I called him home from work, and he had to take me to the doctor. I called the doctor. I get there, and he had to bring me in a wheelchair, and I was just in tears. And so they ended up inducing her, and she was born a full 4 weeks early because I had such a bad blown out disc in my back. But that's what it took to get them to believe me. Mm-hmm. And so right after having my first daughter, I had my first back surgery.
Yeah.
And then I was fine until 2010. Mm-hmm. 2009, I started with the depression really, really bad around 2008. And I had worked really hard on my health. Mm-hmm. But then I got depressed and my weight skyrocketed. So I ended up having gastric bypass surgery.
Okay.
So that is now complicating my CRPS issues. I wish I had known that all these vitamin deficiencies that surgery has caused me probably contributed to me getting it.
Yeah.
And that's really disappointing.
Yeah.
So then in 2010, I blew out another disc, even though I had by then lost 100 something pounds. Blew out another disc, had another surgery. Then moved to Tennessee. The first surgery was in North Dakota. Second surgery was in Germany by a German doctor. The third surgery is where things went completely south. And that is when
were they all in the same area?
Yes, they're all lumbar. So I have L5S1, L4, L5, and L3, L4 are all the levels. There's 3 levels that have been operated on. Mm-hmm. And my spinal pictures look terrible. And the last major imaging I had done was 10 years ago.
Oh,
and
wow.
even then, you can see the severe degeneration in my spine. I'm 47 now, so if you think I'm 37, 35, 36, 37, the last time I'm having imaging done, it looked really bad then. And so I blew out another disc in 2014. And this is literally, I was in the process of applying to the nursing program. I had a 4.0 grade point average in college. I had perfect grades, straight A's.
I believe
and then I took the entrance exam for the nursing program and scored in the 94th percentile because it was very competitive. And I knew that when I started going to school that it would be competitive. And the reason why I wanted to become a nurse is because I had been a patient now. I had had 2 back surgeries. I had a stomach surgery, various other things. And I knew that it could earn me a comfortable living. And despite what a lot of people think, being in the military, you're poor. We were on WIC when I was pregnant with my first daughter. Yes, they give you health care. Yes, they give you housing. But we could not afford to buy food. It was ridiculous how little you are actually paid when you're in the military, more than 20 years ago.
Did they teach you while you were in nursing school anything about your emotional health or how to cope with trauma, anything like that?
No. They didn't go over any of that. It's basically pretty well known, to most people who go into nursing, how hard it's going to be to A, get in, and B, survive it and pass.
Right.
I would say, God, I can't remember what the exact numbers were, but for the whole 2-year program, there were people dropping like flies.
Sure.
We were constantly on edge calculating our grades, and that is the first time that I was unable to make straight A's, and it drove me insane because that's all I did for 2 years was, first of all, take care of my health, and second of all, go to school and study like hell. And so it was the spring before. So I was just completing my prerequisites in Tennessee because I had, of course, left like speech class until the last minute because who wants to take speech? But when I actually got there, I actually really liked it. So then, I had just a couple of classes to wrap up and to apply for the program. And Chris, I'll answer that. She's asking why I haven't had any imaging for so long. It's because I haven't had any problems for that long. So basically what happened was it's 2014. I blow out a disc. I go to a doctor in Tennessee because I'm now in Tennessee. And they do an MRI and say, you've blown out a disc, you need another back surgery. And I just remember getting this phone call in the car and just sobbing. Like, how many times am I going to have to go through this? So this neurologist in Tennessee is like, well, we do it minimally invasive now, and it's outpatient. And I'm going, excuse me? Like, I've had this twice already, and I'm talking like big open incision and go through the lamina of your spinal bone and get the disc pieces that are busted up out. Agree, Moonchild. And I'm going, how do you do this minimally invasive? So he explained it to me that they make a small incision and they use this metal tube to go all the way down to where the disc is blown out, and they use teeny tiny tools. Now, he did not tell me that there were way more risks to doing it this way. In my mind, I was like, okay, well, if this is going to be easier and less painful, wonderful, right? I should have listened to my intuition that went, wait, what? Because when I went in for that surgery, I woke up. This is the third time I'm going through this. I wake up and I immediately go, it's not fixed. I've done this twice before. There's a big difference between blown out disc and shooting nerve pain, sciatica down your leg, and surgical pain on your spine. There's a big difference. So when I woke up and the pain, the pinching was going all the way down my leg still, I woke up and I was like, it's not fixed. It's not fixed. It's not fixed. It's not fixed. And I'm like screaming at them. I'm like, you guys, something's wrong. Something's wrong. So they admitted me, put me directly back into the MRI and said, well, it's not fixed and probably some more disc material. Of course, we're not sure. And I said, fix it. Fix it. They put me in surgery the very next day again. I woke up from surgery number 2, second day in a row, and could not move my right leg. I freaked the hell out. I started yelling, saying I want second opinions. And not only could I not move my right leg, the pain was now shooting down my left leg.
Oh my God.
And I said, what the F is going on here? And now I'm, drugged, anesthesia. I'm like, I can scroll back on my Facebook because I was posting about everything that was going on. And I can scroll back to those dates and have the entire history because it's all there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, Amy R., send me a message and I'll give you the doctor's name. I think he's in Alabama now. So I think you're probably safe. So the third day, I'm freaking out because I can't move my right leg and now the pain's shooting down my left leg. They put me in the MRI again and said, now disc material is pushed out on the left side.
Oh my God.
So they went on the left side and fixed the left side. I go home. Now I'm on pain medication and gabapentin. And I was so bad off that I had home health coming to my house for physical therapy because I was so bad off that I could not even leave the house.
Yeah.
That was an absolutely miserable experience. And I was preparing to go into nursing school, and this is like, we're talking June, and I'm supposed to start school in August.
Oh my God.
So I had to get through physical therapy and bust my ass. Yes, garbage penton. Bust my ass to get well enough to start school. And during that summer, I had to find an AFO, a leg brace that would work because I now have foot drop. So I've got foot drop. I cannot dorsiflex or lift my foot. So I went ahead and I started nursing school. And when I went to orientation, I was pushing a walker and they were looking at me like, what the hell? Is this girl going to make it? I got it together. I busted my ass so hard and got it together and went to nursing school. And I spent that whole first year of nursing school doing damage control. Yeah, I should have done a lawsuit. Yes, I should have. At that time, I was gaslighting myself, saying the way that he explained it, saying that, with his little tiny tool that he was pulling pieces of disc out and it might have tugged on that nerve. Now that I'm here today, I think that this was medical malpractice, and there have been lawsuits on the minimally invasive surgery and the touting of that. So I got nerve conduction testing. I stayed in physical therapy. I went to clinicals. I went to school. I studied. And basically, I got one of these 3D, like super high definition CT scans of my spine. And I have the disc, and I can spin my whole spine around and go frontwards, backwards, diagonally. I got MRIs, everything, all this imaging done. And basically, we could see that L5 and S1 were now so close together, it was almost bone on bone. And I had a lot of osteophyte formation with a lot of bone spurs everywhere, and it looked like shit. Yeah. So I went ahead and looked for the biggest, baddest doctor at Vanderbilt University. I was like, I want the best neurosurgeon. And you want to know how crazy I am? I also, during that first year of nursing school in clinicals, was at the local hospital for a surgery clinical. And basically you're in the OR and you have like the central area, and they've got this big board, and it has, patient, doctor, surgery, what surgery is happening, what operating room, time, And several of us students were there with our instructor, and she walks up and she's like, okay, look at the board. What surgery do you want to watch? And I'm like, I'll take spinal fusion, please.
Oh, wow.
So I actually stood right over an actual spinal fusion happening while I was planning my own spinal fusion.
How was that?
It's quite violent.
Yeah, I've watched videos of it.
Mm-hmm. They're in there using, obviously if you're getting screws put in, they're using a drill.
Right.
If they're cutting through bone, they have got the sharpest, scariest looking tools you can imagine. When they're doing a fusion of two vertebrae, they actually have to remove the disc. And after they remove the disc, they have to use a file to rough up the circular vertebral bodies, this side and that side. So then because they cut through your lamina, the spinous process on your spine to get down there, they take all these little pieces of bone and they put it into a food processor with donor bone. They blend it all up and they pack it between your two vertebral bodies, and then it heals together. It's like bone paste.
Yeah.
And so, when I was watching, they are doing the surgery, and I'm watching the circulator nurse, learning what that job is. I'm also watching everything else going on in the room. So I'm there observing.
Yeah.
That was one thing that I was not allowed to participate in because that was way too serious. I did get to participate in other surgeries. They did let me scrub in for a cesarean section, and I got to hold a retractor for a cesarean section.
That's an intense surgery.
Yeah.
Two of them.
So I watched the spinal fusion before I had it done, and I had the spinal fusion for my 6th and final back surgery in the summer of 2015, right before 4th of July. I was in a hospital room in Nashville a day or two out from that surgery, watching the fireworks from my window at Vanderbilt University. So, that was the last time I had any back problems. And it's pretty damn amazing because I went on to do a second year of nursing school, graduate with honors, with high honors because of my high GPA, and went on to have a career as a nurse. And in the past 10 years, I have broken my ankle just from walking around, stress fractures twice. Mm-hmm. And I have broken the 5th metatarsal on my foot once, about a year and a half ago.
Osteoporosis, or?
It's because I have foot drop. So when you have foot drop, an entire muscle on the front of your leg, it kind of comes around from the outer side, going down the front of your shin. It does not work. It does not lift your foot up. So I can press my foot down, but I cannot dorsiflex it at all. And when you cannot dorsiflex your foot, you start compensating with your hip. Yes, it is. It's down in my ankle because I'll get to that, Christy Art. Because I could not dorsiflex my foot for 10 years, I had a lot of ankle instability, a lot of foot instability. I would get a very thick callus on my big toe because the only way that I could control my balance was to press down. That's the only control that I had. So like the skin on my other foot was fine, but I was constantly filing down this callus on my toe literally every week for 10 years. Basically, after 10 years, it was getting to the point where my ankle is hurting all the time. I'm changing jobs. So when I got here to Michigan, I was like, I learned how to walk. I relearned how to walk. I wore an AFO at the VA, and wearing that AFO would give me stress fractures. So I was like, I need something with a little less walking, a little less wear and tear. So when I moved to Michigan, I got a job as a supervisor in a psych hospital, and I was on midnight shift. So I did not really like that. I really fought hard for those patients. It was a private hospital. It was an awful place, and I tried to help as much as I could for about 9 months. And then when me and my current boyfriend moved out here, I was driving an hour to get to work. And so then I started exploring, trying to find a different job. And I tried several jobs last summer. Worked at a nursing home for a month. That was horrific. Absolutely horrific. Nursing homes are the worst. People talk shit about the VA. The VA where I worked, we took care of the people on long-term care and nursing home units. So I get to the outside world, outside the military, and I was just absolutely horrified. They threw me, the second day I'm in this nursing home, threw me down a hallway with 30 patients.
Oh my gosh.
Me and 2 techs.
Oh my God.
I did not get report. I don't know who can talk. I don't know who can eat. I don't know who can chew, who can swallow their pills. I don't know who needs skincare. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I toughed that out. And then I eventually got the job as a dialysis nurse. So that's technically where I'm still employed at now, is for basically one of the biggest kidney dialysis places. I'm not going to say their name until they terminate me, but I'm still technically employed. So after having 10 years of ankle instability, my ankle, it was to the point where, okay, now I'm a dialysis nurse. I am in one room. We have 14 chairs. I have 2 shifts of patients. So I am in one room. I do not have to do any heavy lifting anymore. They have to, the people that are coming in, physically coming to a place for dialysis, they have to be able to be mostly mobile. There was only a couple people that needed help with a Hoyer lift, and I have 2 techs with me. Pretty much everybody is walkie-talkie coming into this dialysis clinic. So I went through a massive amount of training and found it to be fascinating. I really love the continuity of care, getting to know the patients and getting to spend all the time with them, because they come in and they're there for 4 hours and you see them 3 times a week. So I really, really liked it. And they had good health care. So I said, you know what? I think I finally found where I want to stay. I think I really found, so I have started a 401k. I'm like, okay, I'm really happy with this job. I like my boss. I like my coworkers. It's a very small, place, and there aren't a ton of people. It's just us. So everything was going okay, but my ankle's killing me. And even the little bit of walking I was doing as a dialysis nurse with no heavy lifting, all I would have to do is monitor these patients. I have to do an assessment on them when they get there, assess them when they leave, give them some medications, make a lot of phone calls, a lot of charting, a lot of education, a lot of troubleshooting the machines when they beep, whatever, I have had to stop people before they get on the machine and send them to the emergency room. They get pissed at me. And I'm like, hey, you show up here, your vital signs are wacky, something's up with you. And oh, guess what? You're having pneumonia. It was going great. The job was going great, but my ankle was killing me.
Yeah.
So I went ahead after the new year and started doctor shopping to find out what was going on with my ankle, because I thought that I would simply need to get a tendon transfer. I thought about it 10 years ago when this first happened and thought, I don't want to do another surgery. But now that I'm in pain and something is going wrong and it's swelling and I'm limping, and now when I go to concerts, like I told you, I go to a ton of concerts now, I'm like constantly having to, like, I cannot go to general admission. I have to have a place to sit or stand or like I have to be comfortable. And I can't, like, my daughter came over the holidays and we tried to go to Frankenmuth, Michigan, like this little German town where they have all this Christmas stuff going on. I could not even walk around for an afternoon without having to stop and sit and stop and sit and stop and sit. I'm like, something is up with my ankle. So I saw 2 doctors. They didn't pass my vibe check. I kept researching and looking until I found an award-winning orthopedic surgeon who was an expert in ankle surgery. He did an MRI of my ankle, and I'm like, we're not doing anything until you can explain to me exactly what is going on. So he pulled up and printed out my imaging and said, these bones right here are misaligned. The structure of your foot is collapsing because you have this lack of opposing force. If I pull my arm this way, you've got tendons pulling it this way. If I pull my hand up this way, you've got tendons pulling it that way. Well, I don't have this in my foot. So the lack of opposing force had caused the breakdown of the structure. Now I've got arthritis because the bones are becoming misaligned. I had Achilles tendon was so tight that he had to do an Achilles tendon release. So all in one surgery on March 12, 2024, I had 3 incisions into my Achilles tendon for them to be able to lengthen it. I had an ankle fusion where they put a screw in through the front and a screw in through my heel, straight in through my heel. And I had a tendon transfer where they take the tendon from the inside of your leg where your inner calf would be and put it in between your 2 lower leg bones and attach it to the top of your foot on the other side. So now if my foot is kind of hanging like this, I can move it up like that. But if I'm already at a 90-degree angle, I can't lift more than my toes. But I can lift my foot a tiny bit now. So that's why I go to physical therapy. It was Moonchild. Yes, ouch. I have been through a lot of surgery.
This is all relatively fresh for you. You're newer to having CRPS and having surgeries.
As hell, because not one time have I ever heard the word CRPS, complex regional pain syndrome. Not until it was 3.5 weeks after surgery, and I have got video of me going, why am I in so much pain? This is way more painful than I imagined it would be. I'm following every single rule. I'm taking extremely good care of this. I could not put weight down on my foot for a month. I was literally crawling on my hands and knees up and down the stairs in my house. I was being so careful, and they had me in a splint, and then for a couple weeks, and then they put me in a cast. And I was saying, I'm in pain, and they were only giving me perks 5, 325, and they upped it to perks 10, 325, because I was like, what? This is way more pain. This is way painful. Like, you guys, this is not cutting it. And it was 3.5 weeks. I'm in the cast for 10 days. And the biggest pain I have ever experienced happened. And it was a Sunday night. And I was like telling my boyfriend, I'm like, something is wrong. I feel my legs swelling inside the cast. It feels like it's exploding. It feels like it's on fire. I'm afraid I'm getting compartment syndrome or infected hardware. I called the surgeon, and they said, go to the emergency room and have the cast removed and come and see us first thing in the morning. And I went in. The doctor there treated me like shit. treated me like a drug seeker. I show up in a cast saying, I just talked to my surgeon. Something is wrong with my leg. I'm in an excess of pain. It is swelling. And if you guys look at some of my older videos where I put up pictures, you can literally see a huge pocket of swelling on the top of my foot. You can see a big bulge. Like my foot was like a balloon. My toes were like sausages. It was bright red. And this doctor in the emergency room, he completely blew me off. He said, first of all, why didn't your doctor call and tell me you were coming? Like, excuse me? I'm laying there crying, sobbing in pain. I said, this is my doctor. So he called and they said, yes, take the cast off. So they took the cast off and I'm there crying. They gave me 1 10 milligram oxy and sent me home. We're not concerned about infection or these are, I don't know, it's not compartments. And no, I don't know. Just go home. Here's 10 milligrams of oxy, go home. And when he walked away from me the first time, I said, my boyfriend, I said, I don't think he believes me. I don't think he's listening. And he heard me because I waited for him to walk away. He heard me from the other side of the curtain and he yelled across the ward and said, I just need to know what to do to get you out of here.
Wow.
Yeah. I show up to my doctor the next day, April 8th, 2024. Tell my doctor exactly everything that happened the night before. He takes one look at my leg, and I am very, very descriptive. I'm very articulate in explaining my symptoms, telling him it feels like it is on fire from the knee down. I have got tingling. I feel like someone's cutting me with razors. I feel like someone's holding a blowtorch to my skin and putting cigarettes out in between my toes. What the hell is going on? I'm writhing in pain and I'm crying. I'm like, is this infected? Is it compartment syndrome? What is going on? Did I do something wrong? He said, I think you have complex regional pain syndrome. And I literally said, what the fuck is that? What is that?
Yeah.
Can you write that down? I have the piece of paper where he wrote it down. And he said, I need to send you to a pain doctor and you need to get a spinal injection. And in my mind, at that moment, I couldn't even imagine what CRPS was. Know that it was an incurable pain disease that I would have to deal with for the rest of my life. So I'm not panicking because I'm going, oh, a spinal injection? I've done that before, no big deal. He did not explain it to me. He didn't have time to explain it to me because this was an emergent appointment. He had to figure out what was wrong and what to do about it because he's already booked up for the whole day. So he gives me a referral. I immediately call that doctor, go home, and I start like, what is this? What is this? And I'm telling you, it feels to me like it took me a desperately long amount of time to understand what the heck it is.
Yeah.
Everyone else is telling me, you're like, holy crap, you got diagnosed immediately. You figured out all this stuff so fast. And to me, it felt like eons.
It does. I mean, I've been diagnosed for 4 years, but I've had it for 14. So it's...
See what I'm saying? Like, how in the world did this happen that I got diagnosed like literally the day after my leg swells up, turns red, starts on fire? Like, how does this...
And just then, lucky. I mean, I guess with what doctors, we fall into, sometimes I think it's a matter of being blessed or lucky, just finding that right doctor that knows.
I could have never imagined, like, I had never even heard these words. So when I was diagnosed, I came home and started researching. I went and saw that first pain doctor. He said, you need a sympathetic nerve block. I don't do them. Here's some extra gabapentin. And I'm going to send you on to the next guy. Meanwhile, I'm researching like hell. I'm just full speed ahead researching, and I'm going, okay. And then I heard about ketamine pretty quickly, and I already had experience with it because when I worked at the VA, we started a program there to give infusions to veterans who were trying to get off their pain medication they were physically dependent, and they talked about how it could be used for that. And we were all required to take a bunch of education on ketamine. So I knew about it. So as soon as I saw that group on Facebook, I immediately latched onto it, and I'm like, okay. So once I figured out that you basically only have a few choices, I have been trying to find a pain doctor to help me. I saw one in Flint, and his staff, because my surgeon is telling me, you're a pain patient now. I can't keep giving you these. And I was having to call my surgeon every 4 days for a new prescription. 4 days is what they would give me for more than 2 months.
And it just flags you and the doctor at that point.
For more than 2 months.
Why do they do that to themselves?
I don't know, but I felt it was demeaning. It was so demeaning. Because I'm literally calling, begging them every 4 days for some stupid Percocet, and I'm like, this is all I have. And now you literally know what I have, and you know how much pain I'm in, and I'm still having to call you every 4 days. They're like, well, we're not pain, we're just the surgeon, Right. So I call this one pain doctor up in Flint and say, hey, I'm looking for someone to take over my meds. Because my doctor at one point had said, I'm going to continue giving you a prescription, but you need to find somebody before X date. So this other doctor, after asking them, do you prescribe? And they say yes. And I say, okay, I need an appointment because I have CRPS and I'm trying, I don't have a pain doctor. I show up to that doctor. Oh, shoot.
It's already been that long. Wow.
Oh, I thought we had like an hour and a half. So.
I thought we did, but I don't know what time it is.
It's 9:52. We start at 9.
Huh. That's weird. Because I thought I made it longer than that. Hold on, let me see if I can extend the time. Does anybody know if there's a way to do that? Let me see. Sorry. You just keep talking and I'll figure this out.
So anyway, I got myself basically on a fast track to ketamine, and very quickly found a doctor in Michigan that was giving it at the time, but he wasn't doing loading doses. So I got myself signed up at Dr. Hannah in Florida, and I have been turning cartwheels. Immediately I got a port put in because I'm a super hard stick. They made me go through 2 sympathetic nerve blocks. Both times those injections traumatized me. They irritated a motor nerve in my hip, and the first one sent me into a huge flare. So, I was going after the K since day one, and I was educating myself to the fullest extent, sun up to sundown, which I continue to do. And when I started to figure out how serious it was, I literally did not post anything for about a month. Yeah. And then I started this account, and I had already been making friends within the community, both on TikTok and on Facebook. And I'm like, I need to start another account where I just focus on this, because I started meeting so many people that had less knowledge than I did, even though I was just diagnosed, because I consume knowledge like a rabid animal. So the fact that people go years.
If it cuts out, I'm gonna just try to restart a new live, just in case for anybody that's watching. Just give me a couple minutes and I'll start a new live. I can't figure out how to extend the time on it. I messed up. My bad.
So from the time of diagnosis on April 8th, I was in Florida within 3 months. It took me 3 months from the time I was diagnosed to figure out what to do and how to get there. Mm-hmm. And it took an enormous amount of work, an enormous amount of research, education. Good night, Divine. And I just saw a need for people literally with CRPS. Not like not fully understanding how it completely is happening in your body. And I can't stand not knowing stuff.
Right.
I can't stand it. So I educate myself while trying to get myself, I very quickly put all these puzzle pieces. I see puzzle pieces in my head just clicking together like Legos.
Yeah.
And I figured out that this is going to affect my entire body. And if I don't put a stop to this process that is going on, I'm going to end up with all these comorbidities and multiple problems. I'm like, okay, I understand what the MDMA receptors are, and that is where we need to attack this from. So that is why I chose the treatment that I did.
Yeah.
That is why I chose to immediately get a port put in, because I learned very quickly that IV sticks can spread CRPS. And in fact, some have gotten CRPS from an IV.
Wow.
So yes, I've read the scientific studies, and in fact, the original study on ketamine, one of the patients in that study got CRPS from an IV stick.
Wow.
So the fact that they're sticking me 3-4 times every single time I need an IV because they can't find a vein on me, I was like, port, please. Port.
Same.
I want the K, give me the port.
Yeah.
So I also have another situation where I need a tooth pulled. Right after my surgery in March, a crown that I had up here fell apart. And I already had appointment because I went straight to the dentist. They took an X-ray and you need the tooth pulled. It's bad. We can't fix it anymore. And guess what? I got CRPS. I already had been signed up with this dentist, this dental surgeon, to pull this tooth. I'm sitting here in my living room watching one of these doctors do a seminar. And he says people with CRPS cannot have any dental surgery without ketamine. It will spread to your face. And I said, excuse me? Excuse me? Cancel my appointments. Since then, I have been told that I must be administered ketamine before I get, during when I'm getting this tooth pulled. And finding a place to do that is on the back burner because it's not infected, it's not in pain. And my goal right now is to get this into remission if I can. And I'm very close. I'm not there, but I'm very close. I'm close to having it completely managed. I
just had a realization. You know, I had 11 teeth removed in January, and I was on ketamine during that time. And had I not been, it could have spread to my face like that. That is.
Mine spread immediately. Within the first 2 weeks, it spread all the way up my right leg, all the way down my left leg. It spread across my chest. It spread to my cheeks. My lips would get flares, and my inner left arm. I could feel it creeping up my leg. It was spreading very fast.
Yeah.
Luckily, the
whole body CRPS. It's everywhere. But
yeah, the 2 shots that I had slowed that down. It slowed it down, but they were still traumatic to my body. I reacted good and bad to them. I was like, no more. I'm waiting. I'm not doing anything else. But then I immediately started asking my doctor, get me off the perks. And I went onto LDN, low-dose naltrexone. So I got that accomplished in May.
And how have you been reacting to that?
Good. I felt like it was actually working better than the perks.
Oh, good.
Amazingly.
Yes,
and
that is amazing.
So those 2 shots and switching to the LDN was all I had, and gabapentin, and the gabapentin really doesn't do anything. So I really had nothing until I got to Florida. I figured out to use DMSO topically, and that was helping. I have got it with me.
Here too, I think.
So I figured that out, and then I got myself onto every kind of vitamin and supplement to support every part of my body.
Absolutely.
So I figured out and people have been asking me for lists, and that's one thing I wanted to let everybody know is that I do have a very long list of tasks because I started making educational videos to try to help everybody who has this understand it, because it is extremely hard to understand.
Yeah.
And
it's taken me 6 years. 6 years of trial and error and finding different natural options. And it's a long list. So I'd like to compare lists sometimes.
I got involved in the community very quickly, and for a while I sat and chewed on starting the second TikTok channel so that I could do this thing. I'm just doing this thing, and I got to a point where I can do my own lives, and I'm like, okay, so I set that up. I did 3 lives, and now I can bring on guests. But what do I want to do with it? That's where I'm at right now. My daughter's visiting, and I have to go to Florida for my second set of boosters next week. So I'm like, okay, if you want to be a member of my lives or whatever, what am I offering? So I have several different concepts that I'm working on. One of them being an educational packet for CRPS patients to give to their doctors.
Everybody's asking about DMSO.
Okay.
It's dimethyl.
It is
sulfate oxide or something like that.
Yeah, dimethyl sulfoxide or it's DMSO. People will say to you when you say DMSO, you mean like DMSO for horses? Yes, they put this. It is like a solvent. It soaks in through your skin. It's topical. It's a liquid. It is like the consistency of alcohol or witch hazel or whatever. It's like a clear liquid. You can buy it in a tub mixed with like aloe or something, but I prefer, I'm not gonna show you the brand, but you can see that it's a white roll-on with a green label. This is on, just type in DMSO roll-on on Amazon. And this is not prescription. It is not regulated by the DEA or anything.
Do your own research.
It has nothing to do with sulfas. Cherie, sulfas are an antibiotic. I am not a doctor. Disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. I'm not prescribing anything to anyone. I'm just telling you what I use, my experience. Sulfas are an antibiotic. I am allergic to sulfa. Okay? I am using the DMSO. I don't have an allergic reaction to it. All right? Yeah. It is over the counter. But you're not going to find DMSO in any drugstore anywhere. You're not going to find it anywhere. You have to order it. So
you go to DMSO.com.
I get it on. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what it helps with. Okay, when you have CRPS, you have allodynia. You have a hypersensitivity to touch. You have a lot, Tractor Supply, exactly, Cherie. They use it on farm animals. Yes,
well,
they
that's
do.
how I found out about it, actually, was my best friend had a dog that had back problems and had to have multiple surgeries, and the animal doctor, the veterinarian, told her that he would never walk again, and so she started doing research on DMSO and started using it on him, and now he walks just fine, and he hasn't had to have any other surgeries. It's been pretty amazing. So she shipped me some because she was like, I know you hurt, like you could try it at least. Yeah, and it works great for localized pain.
It does. So it's not gonna help you with a deep pain, but it definitely helps with CRPS burning or freezing block of ice cold or pins and needles prickling, tingling, all of those sensations. Now, I did say the words, I said the words Tractor Supply, but I'm not telling you guys to go get it. No. Order it on Amazon. Don't go buy the farm version of it. Just order it on Amazon. This roll-on I showed you, it's like about $20. It'll last you for a very long time. It will dry your skin, So when you put it on your skin, I prefer the liquid. It's going to soak into your tissues much better than if it's, in a different formula. So I roll it on, but the problem is it will dry out your skin. So what I do is I roll it on, I let it dry, and then I use a really good moisturizer. And Christy Art, I am not sure. I don't have fibro, and I have never seen anyone with fibro talking about using it.
I have fibro.
This is not chronic, Michelle. This is not an antibiotic. This is a topical pain medication. So I am allergic to 2 different classes of antibiotics, all cephalosporins and all sulfas. See, Jessica, Aggie, I see you. This will help. If you cannot put clothes on or you cannot tolerate anything for, touching your skin, this will help bring that down. And then I see that Chalet, is there a test for CRPS to differentiate it from other illnesses? Yes. If you go into my videos, I have CRPS defined, starting with part 1. I think I'm up to part 6 or 7. One of the parts talks about diagnosis. It's one of the first few videos I think that I made, because CRPS is, you're going to understand it more if you understand the ways that we can diagnose it. Now, we first of all use the McGill Pain Scale, which is a long series of questions. And in my video, I show you what that questionnaire looks like. The second thing we use is the Budapest criteria. You have to meet a certain number of criteria in your symptoms that you are telling your doctor that you have, and your physically observable symptoms that your doctor can see that you're having. So when I showed up to the doctor, you can clearly see that my foot is red and swollen. Boom. Okay. Diagnosed. However, they do have a couple of tests that a really very well-versed doctor in CRPS will do, which is thermography. So thermography is where they have a thermal imaging camera. When I saw Dr. Hannah in Florida, he took thermal images of my feet and can clearly see a huge differences in the temperature. When my doctor here in Michigan did my sympathetic nerve block, my good doctor here in Michigan, not the other doctor who did the first one, he put temperature sensors on my feet. Now that is inaccurate, because you don't know exactly where on your feet. When you look at thermal imaging, you can see that just putting one little sensor on one little spot on the same spot on each foot isn't necessarily the most accurate, but at least he was making an attempt to see if there was a temperature change when he did that injection, because they can see that if you are in the early stages of CRPS, they can see that in a sympathetic nerve block. A sympathetic nerve block is not going to work on anyone who has the later stages of CRPS. So the other thing that they can do to physically test for CRPS is, I forget the exact name of it, but I explain it in that video. It's where they test how much your body sweats from one limb to another. CRPS is most often occurring in a limb. So what they're going to do is they are going to compare your thermography images. For me, it's my ankle, where it all originates from, my surgery. And they're going to look at my foot and ankle on my right and compare it to my left. And they have a test where I think it's like acetylcholine that they put. They put these sensors on you that can sense how much your body is sweating. And I explain in a lot of my videos that this affects your autonomic nervous system. Your autonomic nervous system basically controls everything automatic in your body. Your heart rate, your breathing, your fight or flight, your blood pressure, all of that stuff, including sweating. And so that's why we see these big temperature changes in our limb that is most affected. Yes. Yes, that's what it's called, and it's not exactly the QS West, but it's something. It's almost that exact same thing that Miss Blue Whiplash is saying. I think it's called a QSART or something. QSART, I think. Anyway, so they can do. I found that on a doctor's office website in Colorado. So like they will basically say, we're going to do this test, and they'll do both of those. They'll take thermal images, and then that sweating test that they do, they put the actual chemical that makes you sweat onto your skin, and it causes that reaction in your body, and they're measuring the amount of sweat. I have found that since I got CRPS, I have had times where my foot has sweat so much that it would start to break down the skin in between my toes. So I have had to do such like really, really good care of the skin on my foot constantly because A, the sweating, B, I'm putting DMSO on it and that's drying it out. So it's like just constantly, I'm trying to take care of the skin on my foot because CRPS will slow down the blood flow to your limb. And if you don't have the blood flow, that's where you see the trophic changes. Trophic means skin. You see your nail growth changes. Some people will not be growing hair there anymore. And then if you look in untreated CRPS, people who are really bad off end up with huge wounds, blister-like skin breakdown. So some people actually do get that bad. So you do have to take care of your skin. You have to constantly keep up on that kind of stuff. But yes, that is a scientifically quantifiable set of tests. The problem is that most doctors don't know anything about this. They don't have the equipment. They don't know how to do it. And finding a doctor to do those tests who knows that much about CRPS is like a freaking looking for a unicorn on Jupiter.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah. So I know one thing I wanted to touch on before we had to go was I wanted to talk about the chronic pain community and, education goals and things like that. I know you wanted to bring up that part.
Yeah. So, a lot of ideas rolling around in my head, of how best to participate. I've had a lot of requests from people asking like, what vitamins are you on? I did,
I'd love to do a live together on that sometime, maybe during the day or something.
The thing is that I want to make it easy for people. So there is so much to learn and so much to explain. That's why I started making the defining CRPS videos. And I know that I can be very long-winded, but I'm trying to show you guys pictures and books and things and explain it in a way that breaks it down that people can understand. And I'm trying to make it interesting. And not to hold everybody's attention and say things in a way that doesn't sound monotonous or because I have trouble concentrating myself right now. It's hard to pay attention. It's hard to process this amount of information. We're exhausted. So I would like to continue to make videos educating about CRPS. And one thing I did do was I very quickly got involved in the community on Facebook, and I'm telling you right now, without that community, I would not have gotten to Florida to see Dr. Hannah and not gotten the loading doses that I did. And I owe a lot to my friend Nancy. She is CRPS tutor here on TikTok. I got her onto TikTok. She is still learning TikTok, so give her a little bit of grace, but she is now one of my very best friends. I talk to her daily. And in fact, she is going to be my caregiver at my appointments next week.
Oh, great.
Anyway, she has her own ketamine Facebook group. She also has a CRPS newly diagnosed group, and she invited me into that group. She invited me to be an admin, and she asked if I would write a paper on how with my CRPS diagnosis, because I accomplished an enormous amount of stuff in a very short 3 months. And I wrote this paper, and it is loaded into the files of the CRPS newly diagnosed Facebook group, explaining every step that I took to advocate for myself and the things that you should know immediately as soon as you get diagnosed with CRPS. Yeah. So I did stuff like, I even had legal paperwork drawn up. I had a, last will and testament, power of attorney, medical power of attorney. I did all of that. I had to start a GoFundMe. I'm freaking poor as hell right now. Things are not, they're not good. No. And I haven't gotten paid in a while because my short-term disability ended the first week of September. And so I got my last paycheck, and I am fighting for weeks now to get them to start paying my long-term disability, because I still am technically employed as a nurse, as a dialysis nurse. They have not terminated my employment as of yet. I have fought very hard to keep my job, and I have fought like hell to try to get well enough to go back to work again. I don't know if that's going to happen. Yeah. So in the meantime, it's because I was a patient, and I am here as a patient and as a nurse and as somebody who is genuinely, honestly here with all of you. And I want to share my knowledge. I want to help and be helped. And I could not have gotten to where I am without an already present online community. Yeah. So I would like to give back, because like I said, I have seen so many people with CRPS that don't have a full understanding, or they are lacking direction. They don't know what to do. They think it's impossible for them to find this care or that treatment or whatever. And I have always fought for whatever I need to fight for to get to whatever I need to. And having come this far in my journey of all of these surgeries and in my education and my career, I can help. And I'm just kind of trying to move forward with a lot of different ideas right now. And even on days where I find it overwhelming to try, I'm just like, if I'm not putting up a video of like exactly like CRPS, it's because I'm thinking, it's because I'm reading. And so in between, I'm like, you know what? Music is therapeutic for me. So I started putting up therapeutic music videos because, I try to make it entertaining, because, I mean, like I said, I love going to concerts. That's why I showed you my other account yesterday and showed you, I just started on TikTok posting concert videos because that is a hobby of mine. Music is life to me. So I said, you know what, I'm going to cheer everybody up. And then I thought, I decorated my house for Halloween. Pretty soon here, I'm going to do a live, and I'm going to call it Haunted House for Disabled.
That's awesome.
Because I decorated my house, and I'm still able to physically do that, and I did that. And I know there's a lot of people that are stuck at home. So if I can get enough people interested, I'm not taking down these decorations anytime soon.
Right, I know.
So
I know. I put mine up. Well, I planned on putting mine up September 1st. I didn't realistically get them done till like the 3rd or 4th. But it took me a little longer. But well, you've got a lot going on, and I love your decorations from what I've seen so far.
I'm so like crazy detailed on stuff. Like I will work out. That like I have two sides of the shelf in between my living room and kitchen, and one side is my skull collection, and the other side is my boyfriend's. So I thought, I think on my live, I'll ask everybody to vote on, do you like my side or his side better?
Right, that'd be fun.
Because like, me and my boyfriend, like our Venn diagram just line up for awesome. we showed up in the same place at the same time. Both of us being music enthusiasts, and both of us liking an excessive amount of the same stuff. We move in together, and just talking, he's like, collection too. And I'm like, what? You know, and like, oh, your favorite band is what? Oh my God, I love them. What's your favorite song by them? I'm like, this song. He's like, mine too. And I'm like, what? Like, yeah. So yeah,
what is
like,
it? Is it System of a Down? You said was one of your favorite.
Yeah, System of a Down is my favorite. And it was funny because we met on Facebook dating, and of course, that was a very detailed profile that I had. And I had, you know, you could put up like songs. Okay, you could choose like six or something like that.
Yeah.
So when I started talking to him,
or it was Facebook.
It was Facebook. It was Facebook dating. Facebook dating.
Oh, okay.
So you could put up a number of songs, and so I very, very carefully selected which 6 do I want to show myself, because I was looking for a concert buddy.
Right?
Looking for a boyfriend. I was like, I need somebody to go to shows with. Yeah.
I'm going on Saturday to a concert. I'm really excited. I'm like, please don't go into a flare. I'm just like begging God, like, please let me get through this concert, and then I will pay for it for weeks. But it'll be worth it.
His favorite. It was funny because he said, "Look at my profile and tell me what you think my favorite band is." And I looked at it, and I looked at his profile, and I said, "Favorite is either Tool or Faith No More."
Oh, I like
Faith No More. He said it's Faith No More, and I said, I called it. And I said, I absolutely love Faith No More. And in fact, I've still been listening to them, and I've been blasting them. Like, it was so strange because I was on a Faith No More kick.
Oh, that's so funny.
He said, what's your favorite song by Faith No More? And I said, The Real Thing, 100%. I could listen to that song 10,000 times and never get sick of it. And he said, that's mine too. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
Wow.
Yeah. So
awesome.
yeah, we have a lot in common, and a lot of these decorations I have up are like, if you guys look, you see this Dracula behind me?
So fantastic.
That is painted on wood. That's his.
Wow.
Those two pumpkins behind me, those are actual, like, those foam pumpkins that you craft pumpkins. He paid artists to carve those into movie scenes. So like, awesome. he had his own set of stuff, and I've put.
How long have you guys been together?
We've been together for two and a half. Yeah, I started dating him not too long after I came to Michigan. So,
so he has been with you through this whole CRPS journey.
Yes, yes, and I know we're close to getting over with here, but I will talk about myself with anybody else, start doing more of my own lives, and
like I said, I would love to do, maybe a couple planned ones on different subjects, because
absolutely
we have a lot.
I've got a stack of books. I'm surrounded by a doom pile of books right now. You guys saw that the other day,
right? And
I am reading and consuming information and trying to organize it in my ADHD mind into videos that make sense. So that's what I am working on, and I am also working on collecting information, so that I'm thinking about a concept that, like I said, of putting together a packet of information for people with CRPS. I don't know if I would put it all into a Google file and give people access to it, or for some people who don't understand how to manage that, I have a library here, and if people were willing to pay me the cost of what it costs me to print it out and mail it to them, they could literally take this folder or packet of information to their doctor and say, hey, I have CRPS. If you don't know what CRPS is, here is what it is. And I can hand them scientific studies and the definitions, and I can make photocopies of chapters in these texts. I'm like coming up with an idea here where you can hand this packet to your doctor and say, here's a set of instructions. Take this packet from this patient, run it through your copy machine, copy it, and give it back to the patient. So that they always have their original copy. But I am talking about printing this out and putting it into a folder. So
that is
hand quick information, quick medical information, doctor level information to their doctors. My favorite color is purple too. Everything must be purple. Always purple, purple, purple. Everything.
I love your hair. Let me see your hair tonight. Is it like braided?
Yeah, so my hair is dyed purple, but I have these fake dreadlocks.
I love it.
If you look at, these are cheap ones from Amazon.
That's awesome.
If you look at, there are people on TikTok they have the good ones. Those are the expensive ones. I only put these in when I'm dressing up for Halloween or if I'm going to like a concert music festival. Like festival hair. So they call it concert.
I've always wanted to have locks, but I can't do it.
Yeah, and I can tell you that with my ADHD, I can't tolerate these in very long. So I'm going to keep them in tonight and tomorrow, and I'll probably take them back out this weekend. But it does not take long. I mean, it doesn't take very long. You just separate your hair into squares, and then you just like split it in half, and then you braid it around. Like the dreadlock is the third piece of the braid. So I just braid it down my hair and put a rubber band on it, and boom, done.
Oh my gosh. I love that idea. I love that idea.
I had to look witchy.
And then we're going to see Korn next month. I'm really excited about that. Korn and Georgia. And I don't remember. Somebody else that we've already seen. I can't remember which. It's a female lead singer. But yeah, I'm excited about that. And that's for my daughter's 13th birthday. That was her request, was to go to Korn. That's her favorite band.
Yeah, I have
totally be like reincarnated into another little teenager. I'm like scared.
My kids are like that too. So yeah, that's my thing. And I love going to small concerts because then you can meet the artists. So I have got countless pictures of me with like tons of what I consider to be rock stars.
Right.
So I've met a lot of them. Like this piece of art behind me up here. That's by the lead singer of a band called Baroness, and he's also an artist. I got a picture with him, and he sells prints of his art at cool. It's like my favorite thing ever.
I love finding bands like that aren't big yet, and then they like become bigger, and you're like so proud of them.
Yeah, and I've been doing this since I was a teenager.
Same. Yeah.
Someone put up a video of the band Train the other day, and I was like, I met them in the 90s before they were ever famous.
That's awesome. I love Train.
They were playing, I heard them on college radio, and I had my ear to the ground because we didn't have the internet, or computers at that time. And they were on college radio, and I heard that they were coming to a bar in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I went there, and they're pulling up in their van, toting their stuff into this bar, and I could stand and reach out and strum the bassist.
Wow.
I was standing directly in front of him the whole time. And I was like, these guys are going to be super famous. And they were.
Yeah. And they were.
And I met them all and talked to them all. I met Kenny Wayne Shepherd in the 90s, if you remember who he is. He's kind of like a Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Okay.
So anyway, but yeah, I've got countless pictures of rock stars that I met, and tons and tons and tons of videos. I like pop, rock, metal, pretty much.
Yeah, my music list is very eclectic. It's got a bunch of different stuff. Well,
Kenny Wayne Shepherd. See, Cherie, she knows Kenny Wayne Shepherd. I met him. I've seen him twice, and I met him.
Listen.
It was great. Blue on Black, Cherie, Blue on Black. That's a great song. Yep, she knows.
Does anybody have any questions for Christine before we jump off? Or for me before we jump off? There's so much I want to talk about, but I'm getting tired.
Yeah, I know. I have a hard time staying up for your lives because it keeps lives. I tough it out as long as I can every time. I had a plan to stay up this late today.
Yeah. So. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Christine, for joining me tonight. And I look forward to collaborating with you in the future.
Absolutely. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I'm out of town next week, but I'll still keep up with everybody and continue making videos whenever I possibly can. It just takes me a minute sometimes to get my thoughts together and to have the time to do them, but I'm chugging along.
Chugging along. You're doing a great job. I'm super proud of you. I mean, you have taught me so much, and you're really new to this. I'm not. I'm just, I doom scroll into things, and I did that with the CRPS, and then I had to back up a little bit because I was like, the more I know, the more I just freak myself out.
It does get overwhelming. Sometimes you do need to take breaks.
Yeah.
So I have been there before too, where another friend of mine started a series on YouTube, and they put up his first interview, and I was losing it and had to stop the first time I tried to watch it, because I was just like, I can't believe this is happening. There are times where we have to take a step back, and so I'm just moving at my own pace here. And sometimes, I mean, compared with other people, sometimes it's super hyper speed. What do they say in Spaceballs? What the heck was that? You remember that?
I'm 10 years younger than you.
Oh.
So I don't remember a lot of stuff from the 90s. No, you're not. Susie asked what CRPS is before we jump off. It's complex regional pain syndrome. And if you are interested in learning more about it, definitely follow Christine. She is a wealth of knowledge. So definitely, please go follow her. You can do that, I believe, by just tapping on her name.
It's Ludicrous Speed. That's what it was. Cherie, you remember. Ludicrous Speed. Go! That's what I was trying to remember. Yeah, that's how fast I've been trying to learn about CRPS. Ludicrous Speed. Go.
Yeah. And you have. So I'm surprised how much you know in such a short period of time.
I also have the foundation of knowledge from being a nurse already.
Yeah.
And
that does help.
I have been using my ADHD to my advantage for my entire life. Mm-hmm. So I have the ability to hyper focus.
Yeah.
And I do struggle with it a lot, but at the same time, I can also use it to my advantage a lot. So I'm here.
I could be like that until I got my brain injury, and now everything's just kind of like, But I used to be really able to hyper focus on stuff. I was a very smart student, and now it's just really frustrating because I can't hyper fixate on stuff like I want to be able to. I get way too distracted way too easily. Mm-hmm. But
I'm here. I'm not going anywhere, and I plan on being a part of this.
Oops.
Sorry, my battery's getting low.
So. Wanted to know, can you show the DMSO again, please? It's basically, it's a white bottle. It's got a roller ball on the underneath. You can look at dmso.com or find it on Amazon.
This is Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon too. Yeah.
I'll take the cap off. It looks like a deodorant. It's like a liquid. It's just wet. It's like
and then
water.
You just kind of rub it in.
Yeah. I don't actually rub it in with my hand because I don't need to get it on my hand. I roll it all over my foot and ankle, and I let it air dry.
Okay.
And it is not the same as Stop Pain. It's not going to be the same as any topical you can buy at a CVS or a Walgreens. It is DMSO. Dimethyl sulfoxide, I think, is something like that. And you're not going to find it in a store. You have to order it from the internet. So just go on to Amazon, just type DMSO roll-on. You see the green and gold label here. That's what I am using, and it works great. Also, you guys, one last thing, magnesium flakes. If you guys aren't using magnesium flakes, get you a big, giant 4-pound tub of them for $20 or less on Amazon. Soak your body in magnesium flakes.
Yeah.
Put it in the water, soak your affected body parts, your whole body. It makes you feel a lot better when you have CRPS.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
all right.
My public service for the night. I'm going to say good night to everybody.
Thank you all for being tonight.
I'll be back with much more info. We'll be talking.
Yes, absolutely. Because I want to talk about things like She Legit. You know about She Legit? No? Okay.
No.
We're going to talk about She Legit. And then we're going to talk about Moringa. Have you heard about Moringa?
No.
Okay. We're going to teach each other some stuff.
Cool.
All right.
Bring it on.
Y'all. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. And we'll be seeing you soon. Good night,
Okay.
y'all.
Good night, everybody. Bye.